welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic is one of those type of topics that is atrocialisticness, not talked about enough. And that is the domestic abusement of men by numbers of violent women. See, in this system supremacy, which is the most awesome mental manipulation force that's ever existed, in which also right by them is warped feminists, which are the masters of chameleon tears. There has been a demonicnism of minimizing criminality of domestic abusing type women against men. And that beyond needs to change. And so many men that are victims right now, today is August the 3rd, 2025. So many men are victims of violent domestic abusement by their wife, by their girlfriend, etc. And it has to change, or it needs to change. And more males have got to stop sitting there allowing people to minimize it. And yes, I understand that in this system, that various people that you would think should not behave in an irrational way and minimize abusement toward males by their wives and girlfriends. But that's the way the system is set up, and it has to be reduced. So more males have got to sit there and demand the respect and demand accountability, just like at the same time, you have numbers, you have the Violence Against Women Act, right? As if, again, it's only women that get domestic abuseness. Just even that, the Violence Against Women Act should be unconstitutionality, should be against the law on that situation. But let's go ahead and share my screen with this first particular situation. And you see on this screen, this violent woman who is this guy's ex. And he just wanted to get away from her and take care of the kids. And this violent domestic abuser woman shot her ex to unalivement in front of their kids. And you didn't sit there and hear too much about this on various main media and however other places. It wasn't blurred out like that. You wasn't going to hear a lot of political personnel talk about these kind of things. You saw that it goes, right? And what does the image say? I know most society laughs or minimize violent women, domestic abusers of men like me. Giggle. And that's what they feel, right? That's what they feel. Because the thing about it is, when numbers of violent women domestically abuse men, this is what various people in society do. So let me go ahead and share my screen on this. One moment here. I was going to do that crap. Yeah, do that crap now. Oh, I know it's going to do that. Oh, man, I know it's going to sit there and probably do that. Okay, okay, good. All right, that's ridiculous. And that's a whole different topic. These freaking ads, man, this disrespectful. If people want to pay for ads, then they will pay for ads. But that's a whole different topic in itself. So you see already, Bradford County father unalived outside daycare remembered by his sister. Christopher Jones' family urges awareness about domestic violence after the shooting by an ex-partner of his, Mindy Osteen, who's charged with his murder. And see, this is the little atrocitistic, nonsensical switchery, right? Some of the family members urge awareness about domestic violence. What do you mean about domestic violence? It happens every damn day to numbers of men. So the hypocrisy, what do you mean? Awareness about that. There ain't no, it's nothing to talk about. Every day you hear something about women. Oh my goodness, men did this to women. We got to protect women. We must protect women from toxic masculinity, hateful males, domestic violence by numbers of men. The ignorance of that, right? Let me see here on. Bradford County, Florida, the sister of a Bradford County father who was shot and unalive outside a daycare is speaking out, saying that tragedy could have been prevented. Christopher Jones, he was only 37 years old, was gunned down last Friday in Stark. The accused shooter is the mother of his children, 34-year-old Mindy Violent Demonic Cretin Osteen. He was such an amazing father, said Melanie Russo, Jones' sister. I mean, he worked so hard, and when he wasn't working, he was with those boys. Devoted and a loving father is how Melanie Russo wants her brother Chris to be remembered. According to Bradford County, its enforcement on July 25th, 2025, Jones was shot and unalive by his ex. Or separated, whatever they was, but they weren't together. Or he was just trying to live his life. Russo said Jones was picking up his sons from daycare when Osteen showed up unexpectedly and started shooting at him. He later succumbed to fatality at the hospital. So this cretin of his ex showed up unexpectedly and started shooting at him when he was just trying to pick the kids up at the daycare. Now imagine if that was vice versa. We must protect women. That's how it goes. How do you plan and execute a murder of somebody and then do it in front of your own children, putting them at risk? They could have been harmed. They could have been shot. They were in that car right behind him while she shot him in the vehicle, said Russo. Now watch this. Court records show the cretin chameleon, that gentleman's ex or separated wife, wherever she was, something, has an extensive criminal history going back more than a decade. Ranges from battery, so she was a domestic abuser then, and drug possession to fraud and child cruelty. So she was a batterer toward the kid's father, be it when they were together or married or girlfriend, whatever she was with him, beating him up physically, emotionally. And then she was a child cruelty-ness batterer of her kids. That is below hyena shit of a cretin. But of course, in various parts of society, they don't want to look at numbers of women like that. Because again, numbers of women are supposed to be made of sugar and spice, right? Russo said her brother had raised concerns about Osteen's behavior during the relationship. You could see it through text messages, through stalking, That's domestic violence, or that's intimate partner violence. Through harassing, that's again a type of domestic abusement, right? Intimate partner violence. Part of that's harassing, and child pickup and drop off when she's not supposed to be there. She said he would call me sometimes and he'll say, I need help. I don't know what to do. Let me read that again. He would say he needs help, that he didn't know what to do. Now he probably had a nice job, a decent job. A lot of people probably liked him, and he still was very naive on what to do about his abusive, uh, separated wife or girlfriend, wherever she was. But the whole point is, was supposed to be the mother of his kids, who she was a cretin, and she was very unstable apparently, and he know what to do. And how many men are in that type of position? They don't know what to do because society sit there and lambasted numbers of males from sitting there not thinking that they don't have to take abusement. If they have some friends, talk some real friends. If they have some friends, if they don't, they need to call somebody, call some law enforcement. If they ain't listening, go talk to some other people. Something. This cannot be accepted at the level it is on now. She's doing this, or she's acting this way. And I would just give him the best advice I could. What is she going to really say? Right? What was she going to really say? Now, I can't tell you. I'm going to play a video in a second. It's like somebody kids in the background. I don't know if that was, his kids. Well, may his soul rest in peace. Or she had her own kids. I don't know. Whatever on that. But what is she going to say? How many numbers of women stick up for other women? Right? And sometimes even when someone may try to give some advice, it's still short-circuited, right? On that. How come she didn't sit there and call law enforcement and say, hey, that her brother's being battered? How come she didn't say nothing? You see how that goes, right? And she tried to give the best advice. Well, sweetheart, you got to get out of the situation. Nobody expected to get this far. Now, the couple's 2 young sons are in the care of relatives, left to grow up without both parents. You see how this minimizing is? As if she was a great mother as it was. And she had already did what? Child cruelty. And she always was already a batterer, a domestic abuser toward him. And you see how some people are lost in this situation, how it's minimized on that part. Now, the couple's 2 young sons are in the care of relatives, left to grow up without both parents. What? God. The older son was sitting next to me, and he saw a picture of his dad, and he said, Daddy. And I just told him, Daddy loves you. Rousseau said, that's all what we can do is just remind them to keep his face in their mind. Remind them how much he gave his life for them. That's all we can do right now. And this is the last part. Jones' family is urging others to speak out about domestic violence, regardless of gender. What in the idiotic ass Hades hell is that? What do you mean, regardless of gender? Violence Against Women Act. That's been going on for years. Well, you got people that make sure to talk about, oh my goodness, we got to protect women from these violent men. Even though I'm going to show you a little bit again, even though it's been statistically proven, not talking. See, you can manipulate certain kind of numbers and play little slice the games, right? And that's how however numbers of people play this little disgusting tactic. They'll sit there and act as if women are this being this gigantically King Kong domestically abused by males on a daily basis, right? And they're sitting there cowering down the corner, right? when that is far from the dang truth. There are many numbers of violent freaking women. Many. And then physical abuse is only one. You still got emotional abuse. And if you really want to play that tactic, you know freaking well, for the people who don't, if you don't know, more women are emotional abusing than even calculated numbers of males can be emotional abusing than women. Please. They're gigantically will be higher catastrophic, astronomical logic, common sense that women are more emotional abusing, more mental abusing, and you got financial abusing, right? How many males every day are made to feel belittled if their wife or girlfriend feels, well, won't you need to go find another job, and you need to make some more money, and I mean, look at such neighbors, they got this car, they're moving, and I mean, we need to do more better on this. How many males are made to feel belittled, like they're really not doing enough? But if they did the same thing in reverse to her, it'd be called controlling, right? So the thing about it is a discussionality that this continues to be allowed to happen on this. It's like this particular animation that also sums up a lot of stuff.
I bought you a little present.
You did? Well, where is it, honey?
Here, dear.
And this kind of disgusting commercial is still allowed in series. And hold on, the commercial that you still see, and these little shows that show still numbers of men being abused by numbers of women. How many movies show numbers of women just beating down men, right? Numbers of series sitting there showing women emotionally abusing men, financially abusing men, mentally abusing men, numbers of physically abusing men, right? These little cartoons right here, right, showing women domestically abusing men, I'm sure financially abusing him, emotionally abusing him, mentally abusing him, and again, double time again, physically abusing this male. But it's looked at as funny. But let that be reversed.
I bought you a little present.
You did? Well, where is it, honey?
Here, dear. Little man, I've had a busy day.
And how many times have this unfunniness been shown about women abusing men, and it's looked at as laughable, right? And too many men are just allowing this kind of destructive behavior to be allowed. It's like I want to sit there and share my screen on this particular last article. I'm not going to read the whole article on this, but it's just something I wanted to show. Hold on for a second. Where is it at? Okay. Make sure you can see that. Make sure it's not muted. I'm not muted on that one. Okay. So right here, Florida versus Min Osteen. That's the cretin, the violent abuser, domestic abuser that removed her father, removed their two children's lives in front of a daycare and unalive the kid's father, right? But it says right here, I said, police told victim, you got the darkness after childcare shouting. And you have to watch the little slick words right there. As I sit there and read, and when we hold on. So a Florida woman is facing murder charges after allegedly shouting the father her children outside the daycare. Mindy Osteen is charged with first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, and weapons offenses after the deadly shouting outside this daycare on July the 5th, 2025 that unalived Christopher Jones. And the rest reviewed by, I'm not going to say the surveillance showed Osteen arrived at the daycare just 3 minutes after Jones arrived to pick up their two children. The children can be seen exiting the building first and hugging Osteen before Jones exits and straps both children onto the back seat of his car. Jones walks around the vehicle and sits in the driver's seat, where Osteen then meets him and opens fire upon him. Osteen is accused of firing 5 shots before Jones got out the car and ran towards the daycare. As he was running, enforcement said Osteen continued to fire and chase him. Domestic abusement by her against him. Jones found himself trapped between the 2 doors when he tried to get back inside the daycare. Enforcement said Osteen appeared to clear a malfunction on her weapon before approaching Jones and firing 3 more shots. What? Enforcement, who also reviewed the video, said Jones could be heard moaning and children's screams were audible from Jones' vehicle. So these kids are going to sit there and suffer trauma probably for the rest of their lives. They sit there and watch their dad, their loving dad, being unalived by this violent creature that was supposed to be this ex or separated wife, but the whole point that's supposed to be the mother of those 2 kids, and for her to do that, the horrendousness in front of those kids' lives, she deserves to go straight to hell beyond, or hell plus. When enforcement people arrived, Osteen was still on the scene when she was going through the contents of Jones' vehicle. When she saw deputies approach, Osteen put her hands in the air and said, I'm right here, y'all. I'm done. I done in self-defense. Oh, but let me hold on. But this is part one I missed. After the shouting by this cretin, Osteen allegedly put the gun in Jones' vehicle. So she put the weapon inside the guy's vehicle. After she shot him. And then repeated, please let this monster die. She then returned to Jones and said, "You've got to die, Chris. You can't unalive. You can't unalive." Enforcement said Jones responded, "Help me," to which Osteen said, "Chris, you can't unalive. You can't unalive against the kids." Jones said, "I'm not unaliving nobody." Do you see that's maximum gaslighting on a hell level? So she showed up unexpectedly, wasn't supposed to show up. He's minding his business, trying to get the kids, being a loving dad, and stuff like that. She shows up when she ain't supposed to be showing up at all on that. In her criminality mind, she shoots him, and eventually, transitions, right, his last breath. But at the same time, before he lost his last breath, she puts the weapon in the vehicle and sitting there looking at him saying that he should die, as if he was the bad person. You said, what are you talking about? Give me a second. Let me look at some of these comments. What in the world would set her off? Who cares? If it was a man, then would be not a stupid ass question. Who knows? But she is sure on a mission. See, it's still minimizing. Guessing either she's delusional or, watch this. This one I'm getting right here. Guessing either she's delusional or he was abusive, as F-U-C-K. You see how this goes. So here's the problem, right? After she shot him to unalivement, after he had the kids, picking the kids up from daycare, but he's the bad person. But he's supposed to be, he must have been abusive to her. What? Oh, boy. If a man had unalived his wife and yelled that at her, I don't think people would assume she was abusive. But same person, probably not. Although I certainly would consider it statistically. Here's that little disgusting little chameleon game that these little various organizations, that do anyway. Statistically, and some political personnel do this, statistically, men are more likely to physically abuse women than the other way around. See, that's that little stupid tactic again, right? When it's not even a half-ass white lie truth. Women are the main instigators. It's men, when they sitting up beating down men, then men sitting there saying, okay, you keep putting your hands on her. I mean, the men said, she keep putting her hands on her. Then he sits there and strikes back. Well, she's going to be a little bit more harmed than her. But she's the instigator the majority of the damn times. You see how they keep trying to play that tactic. That doesn't mean women aren't abusers. No. Or that men are particularly evil. She said that little game. Or that men are not particularly evil. It's just a fact. So it doesn't. No, that's her little stupid ass or this little simp white lie fact. So it does make sense that people think of male on female abuse before they reverse. Of course, because it's programmed to be that way. Men also are more likely to unalive their domestic partners. You see this little idiotic tactic. Well, of course, if it came between a man and a woman, who's going to be the person that's going to be injured the most, or they take their last breath? The woman. If she's instigating him to that whole point where she keeps pushing him, and then he sits there and goes off back on her, that's logical sense. But of course, again, by that woman sitting there being a major abuser of male, the main instigators of domestic abuse are women against men. But of course, society, various parts of society, various parts of domestic abuse organization, various political personnel, simple male, they don't want to talk about that part. So the whole other last part is that this, I want to sit there and show this. This is, they saying, well, some of the charges, right? Well, some of the charges. Murder, first degree, premeditated. See, July 28, 2025. Aggravated child abuseness. Aggravated child abuseness. Possession of ammo or weapon by a convicted felon. That's her. Grand theft of a firearm. But you see those a couple of comments before we had that little, whoever that person was trying to sit there and minimize. But they don't want to talk about this abuse of woman. But again, right? Oh, hold on. But again, it's abusement by violent women is minimized against males. But let me show. I didn't get a chance to show this quick video. Give me a second here. Let me go back. Do this again here. What? These little commercials, man. My goodness. I mean, it's like, oh my goodness, got this ad blocker. It's like, well, maybe somebody want to look at them damn commercials, right? It's a video on there I want to show. There we go. Let me show this video here. Give me a second.
And we want to thank you for staying up with us tonight at 11. I'm Anthony Austin.
I'm Heather Crawford. We're glad you're with us. Our top story tonight. The sister of a Bradford County father shot and killed outside of a daycare is speaking out tonight, saying this tragedy could have been prevented. 37-year-old Christopher Jones was gunned down last Friday in Stark.
The accused shooter, the mother of his children, 34-year-old Mindy Osteen, and tonight she's facing charges, and Jones's family is demanding answers. Our Christina Burgess is joining us live right now, and Christina, Jones's sister says this all should have never happened.
Yeah, Jones's sister, Melanie Russo, calls this act senseless and says that her brother would share concerns about Osteen with her. As she helps take care of his 1- and 2-year-old sons, she shares with me the heartbreaking moments around her brother's death.
He was such an amazing father. I mean, he worked so hard. And in his time when he wasn't working, he was with those boys.
Devoted and loving father is how Melanie Russo wants her brother Chris to be remembered. According to Bradford County Police, on July 25th, 37-year-old Christopher Jones was shot and killed by 34-year-old Mindy Osteen, the mother of his 2 young boys. Russo says Jones was picking up his sons from daycare when Osteen showed up unexpectedly and started shooting at him. He later died at the hospital.
How do you plan and execute a murder of somebody, and then to do it in front of your own children, putting them at risk? They could have been harmed. They could have been shot. They were in that car right behind him while she's shooting 5 shots at him into the vehicle that her children are in.
Court records show Osteen has an extensive criminal history going back more than a decade, Court records show Osteen has an extensive criminal history going back more than a decade. Osteen has an extensive criminal history going back more than a decade, ranging from Court records show Osteen has an extensive criminal history going back more than a decade, ranging from battery and drug possession to fraud and child cruelty.
I mean, she's a super criminality, domestic abuser of men, of her husband or boyfriend or wherever he was, right? But again, where's the political people, figures left or right on this kind of stuff? The ones it applies to. Where's the vast domestic abuse organizations at, right? With that one-sided conversation that me and them have, right? Because it's a bread and butter, because they are dependent in a demonicism way to sit there and keep making sure it's regurgitated about we got to protect women. It's got to be regurgitated by numbers of them to keep acting as if it is men that are the most violent abusers toward women and domestic abuse. And that is beyond that is a lie. It's a lot of white lie, but they are dependent upon that little white lie to continue to sit there and get their bread and butter, right? Of resources to keep carrying on that still one-sided scenario, right? But they ain't gonna say a damn thing about this criminality woman, right? With a long rap sheet, with a long criminality sheet of criminality on that. And then you got some silly people that will be like, well, why didn't he leave? Oh, so you want to play that little sorry tactic. Well, what about when some women go through domestic abuse? Do you tell them you should have left? Because people don't want to hear that crap. They be like, don't you try to make that woman a victim? You see how that goes, right?
Russo says her brother had raised concerns about Osteen's behavior during their relationship.
You can see it through text messages, through stalking, through harassing, through, child pickup and drops off. He would call me sometimes and he says, I need help. I don't know what to do. She's doing this or she's acting this way. And I would just give him the best advice that I could. But the best advice was always like, sweetheart, you've got to get out of that situation. Nobody expected it to get this far.
Now the couple's 2 young sons are in the care of relatives, left to grow up without both parents.
The oldest son was sitting next to me and he saw a picture of his dad and he was, Dad, Daddy, Daddy. And I just told him, I said, baby, Daddy loves you. Baby, Daddy loves you. Don't you ever forget your daddy loves you. And that's all that we can do is just remind them, keep his face in their mind.
But at the same time, we just want to keep pretending like this picture, this supposed to be looking angelic, right? Right. Look at things like this. Supposed to be look at these little demonic type little cartoon parts right here, right? That show domestic abusement by this violent woman against this hardworking man who just wanted to sit there and be a good father, a good husband to his wife, and that wasn't good enough.
I bought you a little present.
You did? Well, where is it, honey?
Here, dear. Present.
You did? Well, where is it, honey?
Here, dear.
Let me share actually I had something else I wanted to share too on this. Give me one moment here. Domestic violence against men is an epidemic. And it's beyond the conversation, needs to be beyond talked about. And actions need to be sit there and relayed over in laws and policies, right? You got a Violence Against Women Act. But what I said then to show you, what as if domestic violence is some 10% men getting domestic violence against by women, and 90-some% is domestic violence by men against women, right? I mean, the nerve of having the Violence Against Women Act, but of course, I guess it's accepted by women sitting there can sit there and abuse males, right? So in this situation with this, when I sit there and show you about this gentleman, his sole arrest, they ain't say anything about he was so abusive. He was emotionally abusive to his wife or girlfriend, wherever she was, or he was financial abusement to her. He was mentally abusing. None of that. Right? So where's the Violence Against Men Act? Huh? How about this? How about the Violence Against Humanity Act, where men and women keep your damn hands to yourself, right? And especially to let women know, keep your damn hands to yourself. Stop emotionally abusing men. Stop financially abusing men. Stop mentally abusing men. But of course, they're not going to do that, right? So give me a second. Here, wait a minute. Give me a second here. All right. Make sure you can see that. All right.
To post these videos. So now we have a Ring doorbell. All right. We have a Ring doorbell here. All right. Let's go ahead and mute it. So now we have her. It looks like she's trying to damage the Ring doorbell. Now here comes the shoe. All right. There's the shoe, and there's her now destroying it and really going after it. Look at this. All right. And by the way, I'm going to tell you, man, lots of women have done this. I mean, these things are not just isolated incidences. But then you push them down one time and they sprain their wrists. Guess what? You are the violator. You're the abuser. Okay, we're going to look at the data and the statistics here. This would definitely go along on instigation. By the way, if you're too damn slow to figure this out, this is the same woman. All right. Somebody just asked that. Obviously, it is. I mean, that would be 101. Let's go to this one. This is the same person. So we have another situation of her ripping the television off the wall. By the way, women will threaten. I'll tear this shit up. I'll rip off shit off the wall. I'll damage your property. I'll burn your car. Okay, here we go right here. Okay, so he's definitely, oh, there's the wall. There's the wall coming down here. And property damage is something. Look, and she's probably like, I don't care. Do what you want to do. Call the police. Do what you want to do. I'm not getting my way. And of course.
See, you said the quietest will be on that. You see the domestic abuse madness by this violent other cretin toward her boyfriend or whoever relationship status he is. You see how this goes, but you got numbers of political personnel that want to act like they don't see this kind of stuff, right? Where's the laws for this kind of things, right? To make women accountable, the ones it applies to who are domestic abusers. God. Let me see something. I was going to need some comments. I didn't I hate that I had to learn a lot of these lessons from today's episode through experience, and I'm utilizing this as for our usage doctrine, but still grateful that there is someone out there teaching others. This topic is different way. This topic different ways that they are violent and what to look for is great. The conversation on how they use fear as a weapon and how they can control an entire room or town by fabricating fear to get others to serve them should be an example. I've been on both sides of this. I just can't take numbers of women seriously to the one this applies to. See anybody else? Huh? Works it out. What if a woman marries and supports an abusive man who barely works or doesn't work? Not only that, she's ordered to pay alimony, child support. Is that fair? Who should be obligated to pay? Who should not pay? What will actually just a thought? You see how you see they're not arguing it down what the reality is, right? You see they sidetrack. You see how they do that stuff, right? Whoever makes more doesn't matter what's fair to the system. A lot of passed off successful women pay bums now, and men can get cheated on, divorced, and his home taken. Mm-hmm. See, this is the game. Oh, let me go back. Oh, hold on. I think I'll sit there and stop sharing. Let me go back and share this again, because again, I'm utilizing this as fair usage doctrine as well. Let me go back here. Let me go back here. Let me go back. All right, give me a second here.
Men
it was something where he was showing something here. Give me a second.
Oftentimes, she will have the most. All right, so what we got here, quickly getting to it, extensive research. Women initiate domestic violence more than men. Men underreported. So you can't really look at the data. Domestic violence against men is often underreported. Further, multiple studies demonstrate that the intimate partner violence, IPV, women are more often the initiators of physical violence. Expert testimony that provides such crucial information is necessary to overcome the bias against men in domestic violence cases and related restraining order matters, especially when men are claiming self-defense or filing for protective orders against abusive women. Social workers and judges are often skeptical of such claims by men. Of course, you can't handle that little woman. Okay, you can't put her in her place. You can't handle your woman. You ain't man enough. All right, we ain't believing you. And it's time we bring science into a courtroom to end the systematic gender-based discrimination against men. Reading with CGA, analyzing data gathered from 11,370 respondents, research found that half of violent relationships were reciprocally violent, meaning that it wasn't the man only. In non-reciprocally violent relationships, women were the perpetrators in more than 70% of the cases. It doesn't matter. Let's look at the data and the statistics relating to this. And we're trying to. All right, so what we got here, quickly getting to it, extensive research. Women initiate domestic violence more than men. Men underreported. So you can't really look at the data. Domestic violence against men is often underreported. Further, multiple studies demonstrate that the intimate partner violence, IPV, women are more often the initiators of physical violence. Expert testimony that provides such crucial information is necessary to overcome the bias against men in domestic violence cases and related restraining order matters, especially when men are claiming self-defense or filing for protective orders against abusive women. Social workers and judges are often skeptical of such claims by men. Of course, you can't handle that little woman. Okay, you can't put her in her place. You can't handle your woman. You ain't man enough. All right, we ain't believing you. And it's time we bring science into a courtroom to end the systematic gender-based discrimination against men. Reading with CGA, analyzing data gathered from 11,370 respondents, research found that half of violent relationships were reciprocally violent, meaning that it wasn't the man only. In non-reciprocally violent relationships, women were the perpetrators in more than 70% of the cases. So, going back to what we've been seeing, okay.
But again.
All right, so what we.
But again, we're gonna have people right here. I mean, you got people that want to pretend that they see nothing, they hear nothing, they know nothing, right? You're gonna have however many of these domestic abusement organizations, however many of the political figures, however many of the simplest male, they just gonna pretend not to see these kind of things. Extensive research: women initiate domestic violence more than men because they're the instigators. And so when numbers of men like, hey, stop slapping me, stop pushing me, piss on you, forget you, you ain't shit. You are bitch. I'm gonna sit there and show you something a little bit, right? I'm gonna show you something a little bit. In my final video, I'm gonna show you what you gonna do, right? You ain't nothing. You ain't punk. You ain't man enough to put your hands on her, right? You ain't gonna do a damn thing, right? Trying to instigate him, right? So then he puts hands on her and says, "Oh, you think you tough? Oh my goodness!" She calls law enforcement. "Oh my goodness, he did this, he did that." And then how many people? How many times the law enforcement gonna come through? The ones supplies to, because there are some ones in law enforcement who know the game, and they taking both of them. Or depending on the situation, they'll take her ass to damn jail if they are not some selfish ones, right? Or not some control one, and they understand that just as many women are abusers than what they try to talk about men. And majority of women are instigators first of domestic abuse toward their husbands or intimate partners or however other situations, right? And more males better start opening their damn mouths up and start demanding whomever and start taking the disrespect of minimization of men that'll get domestic abuse on a daily basis. That damn tired ass damn trope should be thrown in space as well. It should be a new type datus on that. Give me a second here. I want to show here. See if I can find that. Hold on. Let me go back and see if I can find that area on the show. Oh, hold on for I think it's right here. I think it's right here. Okay.
Let's move on with this one. We have a Reddit forum, which is I'm not going to use as a source here, but they're basically just sourcing the same material right here. Women are more likely to commit intimate, personal partner violence. Intimate. Okay. 70% of the time, the woman who is physically abusing the man. Then when you count instigation, it's crazy. 42% of women and 42% of men report experiencing any physical violence by the intimate partner in their lifetime. Almost half the people polled said, yep, I've experienced some sort of physical violence. This includes slapping. Oh, you were not hit. You were not punched. You were hit. Shoving, being hit with the fist or something hard. Kick, hurt by having hair pulled. Slamming against something. Hurt by choking, suffocating. Beaten. Burned on purpose. Or had a knife or a firearm. Check this out. Check this out. If you are dating a woman in this situation and she pulls out a knife, she has committed domestic violence against you. Did you guys know that? She don't have to swing the knife right here. She don't have to attempt to stab you with it. She can say she's going to stab herself with it. You can let her stab herself with it, which she's not going to do. But if she had the knife, or you, man, if you grab the firearm, let's say she had the knife and you grabbed the firearm to stop her, you just committed domestic violence too. Okay? So just having and yielding and grabbing the knife is domestic violence. All right. And that will be somebody's mentioning it's assault. All right. Assault is you put yourself in a threatening situation. That's assault. That is a crime. She has committed a crime against you, even if she says she's going to use it against herself. All right. So you guys got to reckon. Most men do not report these incidences. Women do them all the time. And you don't report this. You know how many women will go to jail if most men knew that you had a crime committed against you by her taking a weapon and saying she's going to do something to herself or you? That is a crime.
But again, you have numbers of people They still want to minimize violent women, domestic abuse, criminality toward males. Hold on. What the heck just happened? Boy, I despise this when certain things happen like this. When you're playing something and the thing just goes off. Hold on for a second. I'm about to do something again. But I despise it. It's almost like it's done on purpose when you play certain things, right? Give me a second. So I got to sit there and re-put this back again. But I despise this kind of stuff when it happens. And again, it's like it's done on purpose when you are playing reality-based information many times. It just depends. So I got to go back and find this video again. Give me one moment here. I gotta go back and give me one moment here. I gotta get this other video again because let me show this. Give me one more. Give me one more. Okay, hold on. Okay, one of them.
I bought you a little present.
You did? Well, where is it, honey?
Here, dear. Little man, I've had a busy day.
Now think about if a man did that, right? Think about if a man did that.
I bought you a little present.
You did? Well, where is it, honey?
Here, dear. Little man, I've had a busy day.
Now, what if he sat there and came home and whatever he was talking, and she looked like a buffoon, like he looked like a little buffoon, little hapless, little simp type male, and say, for instance, and she had that same look, right? A little a silliness in her face, and he came home and looked at her and said, "Hey, I don't see any dinner or anything," and she said, "Well, I'm tired," and he got this baking pen and popped on top of her head and said, "Look, little woman, I had a hard day," right? That he was at work or business. Man, this cartoon part, they would shut that down. Do you understand? So they know it's a lot of weak type males out here that are scared. Yes, they know it's a lot of weak males out there that are scared to sit there and stop sitting there tolerating abuse. Now, on the other side, there are some good males out there, and they really just are like, they want to sit there and tell some people, right? But within themselves, they are like, man, they know or they feel that some other people are not going to listen to them. And that's understandable. I'm saying there's still no excuses to this because being quiet is complicit to numbers of women doing more abusement toward men. Let me say this again. When numbers of men who are victims are of heinous domestic abusement, physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, by numbers of women, if you don't say anything, then you are being complicit of allowing these still violent women, these abusing women, be it financially, emotionally, and mentally as well, right? You're being complicit. Because if you're complicit in their behavior, they continue to keep doing it. And who again is going to pay the price? The numbers of male youth growing up as well. The last video I want to show you is nothing about a wife being abusive, as many of them do in some kind of way, or girlfriend, numbers of them are abusive in some kind of way, the ones applies to. But this is a different kind of abusement by a woman as well toward a male. And you'll see how he's just been programmed as well, not to defend himself, but to get abused by a woman regardless. All right, give me one moment here. And this is the last video I'm going to show. I'm going to close out the show, because this is a very important video as well. Very important. to set this video up, this guy, he's working at whatever this particular fast food place, and this particular violent woman, she just happened to be within a black woman in this situation. She comes in and she probably has a violent background, her mentality, especially against men in general. But she goes to work. You best believe she's on the best behavior. You see how that goes, right? So I'm gonna set that direction up in this video. Watch her. Watch her violence first. Well, you see her pushed on first, right? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Whoa! She pushed on first. That's violence. That he said he's not gonna hear her back because she's I don't know, he said a whole woman, whatever. She's not a whole woman, she's a cretin of a type woman, right? Now, of course, he's not gonna allow a male to sit there and do that overall, right? But this cretin violent woman, this particular black woman, he allows her to sit there and push him in the face, assaults him, right? Because I guess something about some kind of order situation, and maybe he was like, no, I'm not gonna serve you, whatever she did, wherever it is. She come across very masculine, right? But she knows who, like numbers of women. They know who to face, who to get in there, who faces to get into. They know that. They know. And so this guy, he wasn't gonna sit there and fight her back because she's a whole woman. Did she sit there and treat him like he's a man? She treated him like he's a what? And too many males accept abusement by numbers of women. Women slapping males. Women kicking males, women spitting on males' faces. Oh, did I say that last word? Let's see here. Oh! Oh! Right? Now imagine if a man did that, let alone a black male that sat there and was at this woman's job and she just trying to work hard and this bad black male, right? She didn't get his order right or whatever it is, and he came out of counter or whatever he was doing, and he assaulted that hardworking black woman, and then and then he spit in her face. Do you know how fast he'd be thrown on the ground by Harvard personnel, right? Do you know how many males that would be like, give me 2 minutes with that guy. He wants to sit there and put his hands on women. But how many numbers of males have no problem with a woman sit there and taking a man's life and shooting him, domestically abusing that male? How many males ain't got a problem with that? How many men ain't got a damn problem with a woman assaulting a man in a relationship? They have short-circuited numbers of males in a very bad way, that they're getting another man's face who sat there and put his hands on a woman, but at the same damn time, they get quiet as hell when violent women put their hands on men every damn day, and they'll make excuses for it. Well, men are stronger. Stop being that damn ignorant. That's not the damn point. It's an assault. It's domestic abusement. Like in that last video I showed you. It don't matter. It looks like she was bigger than him, about the same size. So it don't matter who's bigger. It still keep her damn hands to herself. Keep her mental abusement to herself. Keep her financial abusement to herself. Keep her mental abusement to herself. Right? But in this system, again, they look the other way and pretend abusement is not happening to men because they know it's not enough men to sit there that have not gotten tired of sitting there being completely disrespected and being victims. And it's beyond time that more males have got to sit there and speak up and demand equality in these laws and not sit there and settle for nothing else. And however, other numbers of some good women to also not be complicit and allowing other women criminality and abusement to also continue to keep being evaded. Like in that situation with the guy made his soul rest, right? Now I don't know if she was his wife or a girlfriend, wherever he was, he had to do whatever, 2 kids, and he picked him up from the daycare, and his sister, whatever it is, she knew she knew that his girlfriend or his wife or whatever she was, separated wherever he was, she was violent. So she should be just as complicit. She should have also, and however other family members should have also called law enforcement. And however other people to sit there and get that creature of that abuser that did that to that guy and shot him several times, and he eventually became unalived. So when these numbers of women who are complicit of not sitting there calling out domestic abuse by numbers of women, then they are just as guilty of complicity, because there are numbers of women who have a woman code, and they are guilty behind that woman's code of being quiet about domestic abusement by numbers of violent women toward males when they know it's happening. The one this applies to, right?
I bought you a little present.
You did? Well, where is it, honey?
Here, dear.
Where is it, honey?
Here, dear.
Imagine again if that would have been vice versa, and a man did that to a woman. There'd have been all kinds of outrage. So in closing, more males better start. Now, it's not overall not going to happen because there are too many males that are just being programmed to be a punching bag, to be an emotional punching bag, to be a mentally punching bag, to be a financially abusement punching bag to numbers of women. But for the numbers of men out there who are tired of being abused in relationships by their wife or girlfriends, whomever else, stop accepting it and start reporting that, and make these numbers of violent women be accountable. And people who know that their male friends, or if they're in a relationship with a domestic abusing wife, then they need to report it. Now, again, unfortunately, there are certain variables. I got it. But we talking about after looking at the variables and the pros and cons. If it looks like it's more better to be able to report that of an abusement type woman that's abusing a man, then that's what needs to be done. It needs to be reported. And there needs to be more, regardless, more people need to sit there and demand the political figures to get a Violence Against Men Act as well. or even better, a violence against in general act, right? A violence against in general relationship act, right? Men and women, keep your hands to yourselves. I thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show.